Okay, let's unpack this. We're doing a really focused deep dive today, looking at Canadian immigration,
Hmm.
specifically the latest signals from Express Entry, and also a couple of, well, policy updates. We're looking for the specifics here.
Yeah, and what's really striking, I think, is how precise the system seems to be acting right now. These aren't just broad invites.
No.
They're really targeted calls for, specific types of skills. And then you have these administrative tweaks alongside them.
Right, tweaks that seem aimed at getting people settled faster, maybe,
Right.
or clarifying status.
Exactly. Making things clearer at the provincial level,
Yeah.
integrating those changes.
Okay. So our goal here for you listening is really to get past the headlines. We want to put the numbers together with the policy changes.
Hmm.
The number of invites, those CRS scores, the changes for the provinces, so you get a really clear sense of Canada's current strategy, which feels very segmented right now.
It really does. Highly segmented.
We've got 2 express entry draws to look at and then those 2 admin updates.
And I think the big theme really is priority. You can almost see where the labor market needs are most acute, just based on who got invited and how many.
Let's start right there then, with those priorities showing up in the numbers. We've got Express Entry Draw 367 and Draw 368 happen almost back to back.
Right.
And they showed 2 different areas of focus. Draw 367, that one targeted Canada's education category.
Yeah, and that one sent out 2,500 ITAs, invitations to apply. And the key number there, the minimum CRS score needed, was 462.
462. Okay, so that's the bar for that specific group. Now compare that to Draw 368. That one focused on trade occupations.
And Draw 368 was, well, noticeably smaller, only half the size, really. 1,250 invitations to apply.
So the strategy seems pretty clear just from the numbers, right? 2,500 for education, 1,250 for trades. Why that exact 2-to-1 ratio, do you think? Is the need in education just twice as bad, or maybe the pool of candidates is bigger?
Well, I suspect it's probably a bit of both. Urgency and maybe strategy.
Hmm.
That large number, 2,500 for education, it suggests the government is trying to tackle a pretty deep systemic issue there.
You mean like staffing shortages?
Exactly. We know universities, colleges, even schools in some areas, they've had a tough time with staffing, especially since the pandemic.
Mm.
Lots of pressure, people leaving.
Right.
So targeting 2,500 people in that education category, that could be a direct shot at quickly bringing in teachers, maybe specialized admin folks, or even, researchers linked to government funding. High-value talent.
That context really helps. And the score, 462 CRS for a targeted draw like this,
Yeah.
that's interesting too, because if you look at the general draws, the all-program ones recently, the scores have often been way higher, up in the 520s, sometimes more. So 462, while it's still a decent score, for this specific group, it feels like an incentive, like a slightly lower bar to pull in as many people as possible quickly.
Absolutely. The system's basically saying, look, if you got this education background we value that enough to maybe overlook a slightly lower overall CRS score than we might in a general draw.
Makes sense?
And the trade occupations draw, it's smaller, yes, still vital, obviously, but maybe it reflects needs that are more localized or tied to specific projects, perhaps not quite the same system-wide urgency as the education gap seems to have.
And when we say trade occupations, just to be clear for everyone listening, we're talking specific skills, right? Using those NOC codes.
Oh, yeah, very specific.
Things like electricians, plumbers, maybe construction managers, industrial mechanics, the kind of jobs needed for big infrastructure projects happening across the provinces.
Exactly. That trade draw, it feeds directly into, well, the hands-on needs, building things, maintaining things, supporting the physical growth. The education draw, on the other hand, that seems more about shoring up the intellectual side
Right.
and the service infrastructure.
So like very targeted recruiting for different pillars of the economy.
Precisely. Foundational pillars.
Okay, so if the CRS scores and the number of invitations tell us who the federal system wants nationally, these next 2 updates seem to tell us more about the how, like the structures being put in place provincially and administratively. We should probably shift to those policy updates now.
Yeah, and this is where you really see that decentralization idea playing out, how immigration is managed.
So the first big policy change mentioned in our sources, IRCC has given more allocation room to the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the AAIP.
Right, and that's a pretty significant signal, I think, about how Ottawa is working with the provinces, these provincial nomination programs, the PNPs.
They let provinces pick people directly, right?
Exactly. They let Alberta, in this case, nominate candidates who fit their specific local job needs, often faster than going through the main federal express entry pool. So giving Alberta a bigger cap means they have more power, more autonomy to invite people quickly.
It's like giving Alberta more direct hiring power, specifically for its own economy, which, makes you ask, why Alberta? Why now?
Well, it probably reflects a lot of economic activity happening there. Alberta's been working hard to diversify beyond just oil and gas, right?
Yeah, tech, healthcare.
Exactly. So they likely need very specific skills, not just for energy or construction, but for these growing sectors too. And maybe the federal government is realizing that the general express entry draws aren't quite hitting those very specific immediate needs in Alberta.
So they're giving the province the tools to handle it themselves.
Pretty much. It's like saying, okay, you know best what you need right now. Here's more room to go get those people.
Interesting. It suggests the federal government feels confident that Alberta's program, the AAIP, can target the right people efficiently without lowering the overall standards. It's an admission, almost, that a one-size-fits-all approach doesn't really work across Canada's different regional economies.
That's a great way to put it. Immigration policy is becoming much more of a tool for regional economic growth, not just, hitting national population targets.
Okay, so from that big picture shift, giving more power to the provinces, we go to something that feels much more granular. This final administrative update, adding a Canadian citizenship marker on driver's licenses and ID cards, seems kind of small, maybe bureaucratic.
It might seem small on the surface, yeah. But think about the day-to-day implications. It could actually change quite a bit about how identity and legal status are confirmed.
How so? What's the current situation?
Well, right now, to prove you're a citizen, you often need your actual citizenship certificate or, your passport, documents you probably don't carry around every day.
Right, you keep those safe somewhere.
Exactly. So if they add an official marker to your provincial ID, like your driver's license or maybe a health card, things people do carry daily.
Okay, I see. What kind of friction does that remove? What gets easier?
Well, potentially a lot of things. Accessing certain government benefits that might be citizen-specific, maybe educational grants, some financial transactions, anything where they need to quickly verify citizenship, not just that you're a resident.
Ah, okay. Like voting too, I guess, or maybe certain security checks.
Could simplify all of that. It gives immediate, durable proof of status without needing to pull out those other more cumbersome documents.
So it's like an express lane for proving you're eligible for things only citizens can access. Cuts down on paperwork and hassle for everyone involved, for the person and for whoever needs to check.
Precisely. It's about administrative clarity, really. As more people move from permanent residence to citizenship, having a simple, visible way to differentiate status on the most common ID, it just makes sense. Better efficiency maybe even helps reduce certain kinds of fraud related to accessing services.
Okay, so let's try and pull all these threads together for you, the listener. This deep dive seems to show a strategy that's working on, well, multiple levels at once. Very precise.
Yeah, I think that's right. You've got the federal government doing this very surgical recruitment through express entry, targeting education with that 462 CRS score and their big 2,500 ITAs.
Signaling a major need there.
Right. And then the secondary focus on trades, smaller numbers, but still important.
And then at the same time, you see Ottawa giving more power, more autonomy to the provinces, like increasing the cap for Alberta's AAIP.
Recognizing that local economies have unique, urgent needs that maybe the national system can't fill fast enough.
And finally, there's this tightening up of the administration side, adding that citizenship marker to IDs.
Making legal status clearer, streamlining processes once people become full citizens. So yeah, the whole picture looks like it's targeted, it's becoming more decentralized, and it's focused on administrative clarity, all happening at once.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Canada is actively and quite strategically managing who comes in and how they integrate across different channels. So given these trends, the targeted draws, the increased power for provinces, here's something to think about. If this keeps going, could the federal express entry system eventually become less about direct selection and more like a central hub? A clearinghouse that just manages the flow from provincial nominations and these specific category draws.
That's a really interesting question.
And if it does move that way, what does that mean for potential immigrants who don't neatly fit into one of those super specific categories or aren't targeted by a particular province? Where do they fit in?
Yeah, what happens to the more general skilled worker profile in that scenario? That's definitely food for thought.